Hello everyone, so today with Review With You we're going to be talking about Alfred Pennyworth. The character first appeared in Batman number 16 on April 1943 by writer Don Cameron and artist Bob Kane. Evidence suggests that Alfred was created by the writers of the 1943 Batman series with Victor McCloud, Leslie Swalbacker, and Harry Frazier, and that DC Comics asked Don Cameron to write the first Alfred story, which was published prior to the series' release. In Alfred's first appearance, he was actually overweight and clean-shaven. However, when the 1943 Batman series was released, William Austin, the actor who played Alfred, was trim and sported a thin mustache. DC editors wanted the comic Alfred to resemble his cinematic counterpart, so in Detective Comics number 83, January 1944, Alfred vacationed at a health resort where he slimmed down and grew a mustache. This look stayed with the character ever since that day, even surviving his apparent death and resurrection. Alfred was originally conceived as a comedic foil for Batman and Robin. He spoke with a Cockney accent and simply arrived on Wayne Manor's doorstep to announce that he was beginning his duties. In most early tales, he made bungling attempts to be a detective on a par with the young masters. He was given a 4-page feature of his own, The Adventures of Alfred, in Batman number 22. And the feature lasted only 13 issues, skipping Batman number 45 with the last story in Batman number 36. The stories followed a simple formula, with Alfred solving a crime and catching the culprits entirely by accident. In later years, the comedic aspects of the character were downplayed. In the pre-Crisis comics, the comics that were published by DC between 1938 and 1984, it established Alfred as a retired actor and intelligence agent who followed the deathbed wish of his dying father to carry on the tradition of serving the Wayne family. Alfred introduced himself to Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson at Wayne Manor and insisted on becoming their butler, although the pair did not really want one, especially since they did not want to jeopardize their secret identities. However, they did not have the heart to reject Alfred. Initially, Alfred discovered their identities by accident. While fighting a burglar in Batman number 16, which is Alfred's first appearance, he accidentally hit a switch and opened a sliding panel leading to the Batcave. In this episode, he is very helpful to the duo, following them to a theater where they're captured, bound and gagged by a criminal gang, and rescues them after Batman attracts his attention by knocking a rope down before the crooks return. However, this was revised in Batman number 110. During his first night at Wayne Manor, Alfred awoke to moaning and followed the sounds to the secret passage to the staircase leading to the Batcave and met his would-be employers in their superhero identities with Batman wounded in the field. As it turned out, the wounds were actually insignificant, but Alfred's care convinced the residents that their butler could in fact be trusted. Since then, Alfred is cheerfully included in the support staff duties of the dynamic duo on top of his regular everyday tasks. Ironically, Alfred's loyalty would lead him to become a member of Batman's Rogues Gallery. While pushing Batman and Robin out of the way of a falling boulder, Alfred was seemingly killed in Detective number 328, and it was revealed in Detective 356 that he had been revived by a scientist named Brandon Crawford. His attempt at regeneration resulted in a dramatic change. Alfred woke from his apparent death with pasty white skin with circular markings, superhuman powers, including telekinesis, and a desire to destroy Batman and Robin. Calling himself the Outsider, he indirectly battled the comic duo on a number of occasions, using others as his puppet. The Grasshopper Gang in Detective 334, Zatanna in Detective 336, and even the Batmobile itself in Detective 340, and generally only appeared as a mocking voice over the radio. He did not physically appear in the comics until Detective 356, when he is bathed again in the rays of the regeneration machine during a struggle with Batman and somehow returns to normal, with no memory of this time as an actual supervillain. In the post-Crisis comic continuity, Alfred has been the Wayne's family butler all of Bruce's life and had helped his master establish his superhero career from the beginning. In addition, he was Bruce's legal guardian and father figure following the murder of his parents. Alfred's history has been modified several times over the years, creating assorted versions. In one such version, Alfred was hired away from the British royal family by Bruce's parents, and he virtually raised Bruce after they were murdered. At the time he begins working with the Waynes, Bruce is a young child. After several months, Alfred voices the desire to quit and return home to continue his life as an actor. However, these plans are momentarily forgotten when young Bruce returns home after getting into a fight with a school bully. Alfred teaches Bruce to outsmart the bully rather than using brute force. When Alfred's advice works, Bruce asks him to stay, and he agrees without a second thought. Shortly after Bruce's parents are murdered, Alfred steps in as the boy's legal guardian. In the Nightfall story arc, Alfred watches helplessly as Batman slowly crumbles under the pressure of fighting every escaped criminal in Arkham Asylum, who were set free by Bane. When Bane breaks Batman's back, Alfred tries to treat the injury, but Batman remains paraplegic. During the events of Night Quest, Alfred accompanies Bruce to England and becomes enraged when he insists on endangering his own health. This is the culmination of several weeks of Bruce's self-destructive behavior, and when Bruce returns to Gotham City, Alfred remains in England, tendering his resignation. He spends some time vacationing in Antarctica and the Bahamas before returning to England. Dick Grayson tracks him down several months later and convinces him to return to Wayne Manor. In that story, it is revealed he had walked out of his own wedding years earlier. In the New 52, it is revealed that Alfred's father, Jarvis Pennyworth, was the butler of the Wayne family before Alfred and Bruce was even a child. Jarvis was blackmailed by the Court of Owls to set a trap for the pregnant Martha Wayne. Despite declining the offer, the court managed to cause a car accident that caused the child to be born prematurely and eventually to have died. Jarvis attempted to resign from his services and write a letter to his son in which he describes the manor as a cursed place and tells Alfred that he should not begin his services under the Wayne family. However, Jarvis was unable to send it as he was murdered that very night. During Batman Eternal, Alfred is reunited with his long-absent daughter, Julia Pennyworth, an agent of the Special Reconnaissance Regiment. When Batman finds her in Hong Kong and takes her back to Wayne Manor for medical treatment after she is stabbed with a samurai sword through the chest by a Chinese gang boss he was hunting, Julia is initially hostile to Alfred, feeling that he has wasted his life going from a soldier to tending to a flop like Bruce Wayne. However, after Alfred is attacked by Hush and infected with a fear toxin, she discovers the Batcave and takes her father's role to coordinate the Bat family's efforts against their foes. Alfred is briefly transferred to Arkham Asylum before it is attacked, as part of the conspiracy, but he manages to survive the explosion and trick Bane into helping him reach an emergency cave Batman had installed under Arkham. The cave's defense is knocking Bane out and allowing Alfred to call for help. During the Batman Endgame arc, the Joker broke into the Batcave and, during a confrontation with Alfred, cut off Alfred's right hand. Julia confirms to Bruce later in the issue that Alfred survived the encounter and is in stable condition. Following the death of Bruce Wayne, Julia says that with current medical technology, they can have Alfred's hand reattached without any complication. However, Alfred refuses, stating that with Bruce's death, he is no longer in need of it as he has no one left to serve. Even with the loss of Bruce as Batman, Alfred still assists the Batman family in the Batcave along with Julia. After Bruce is discovered to be alive but with no memory of who he is or what his life is as Batman, Alfred tells Bruce everything that had happened in his life up to the point of the creation of Batman, but accepts Bruce's request not to learn any more. Alfred did this so that, years after service to the people of Gotham and the world, Bruce could finally accept his reward of a life without pain and the burning desire to be Batman, allowing his life as Bruce Wayne to finally begin. However, when the new villain, Mr. Bloom, launches a massive attack and apparently kills Jim Gordon, the new Batman, the Amnesic Bruce pieces together enough information to deduce that he was once Batman and convinces Alfred to subject him to a machine that theoretically downloads all of his memories as Batman into his mind. Now, Bruce's original plan was for the machine to be used to create a series of clones for himself that could be programmed to continue his mission. But although the process failed because the simulations confirmed that the human mind just couldn't handle Batman's trauma. Bruce comes through the process by having Alfred take him to the point of brain death and then download his memories into his blank brain. With his master restored, Alfred's hand is subsequently reattached, Bruce joking that they used a random hand from the reserves rather than keeping Alfred's hand on ice all this time. Now, as always with Review With You, we're always going to give you the skills and the abilities of characters. No different with anyone else, but Alfred is an exceptional case. He is a highly intelligent and resourceful man. Alfred runs the day-to-day operations of Wayne Manor and maintains much of the equipment in the Batcave beneath it. A former actor, he can use his acting and disguising skills to help Batman in the field when necessary, and is even capable of impersonating Bruce Wayne on the telephone convincingly, as well as giving Bruce various lessons that help him maintain his cover. He also provided first aid up to and including suturing wounds and removing bullets, as well as an occasional tactical supporting party. He is also able to perform some advanced medical procedures, thus ensuring and even if not eliminating the need for hospital medical treatment, even in the face of certain grievous injuries, helping to maintain Batman's secret identity. Nevertheless, Batman still requires professional medical treatment when Bane broke his back. On these occasions, Alfred admits his own skills are inadequate for such medical procedures. While he's not as skilled at martial arts as Bruce Wayne or maybe Dick Grayson, Alfred is still nearly as resourceful as either one. In one story in which he is kidnapped, he readily escapes and overcomes his captors without disturbing the cut of his suit. It was later mentioned that he had been kidnapped unsuccessfully 27 times. During Batman, the Resurrection of Ra's al Ghul, Ra's al Ghul's muscle-bound bodyguard attempts to use Alfred as a hostage only to be disabled by a well-timed sucker punch. The only person Batman is okay with using a shotgun to attack anyone is Alfred. Presumably, due to the lack of superpowers and the advanced combat training Bruce and other associates have, Alfred is the only member of the Batman family that Batman does not mind using a firearm. Current issues of the various Batman comics tend to indicate that Alfred is a pioneer in and has also mastered several fields of rose breeding, even creating his own called the Pennyworth Blue. He knows computer programming, electrical engineering, chemical engineering, mechanical engineering, nanotechnology, and biotechnology, as he single-handedly builds, programs, and maintains much of Batman's next generational technology, such as the Bat computer. Some tie-ins with the series of Injustice, Gods Among Us. Alfred remained loyal to Bruce even when Bruce began the insurgency and opposed Superman and had his secret identity exposed. When Superman invades the Batcave and breaks Batman's back, Alfred ingests the 5-U-93-R pill, which pretty much gives a person relative strength compared to Superman, and subdues Superman with it, breaking his nose and beating him down. Alfred takes Bruce to the Tower of Fate, where Zatanna and Dr. Fate are hiding and will heal Bruce. For over 7 months, Alfred oversees Bruce's slow recovery. When the insurgency began their attack on Superman's regime, Alfred provided a kryptonite-tipped bullet to the Black Canary for her to face Superman. Anyway, we are done with our overview of the iconic Alfred Pennyworth. Please like, share, and subscribe. We really do appreciate that. Also, comment down below. We want to hear more about what you would like to see here on this channel. This is Review With You, so you tell us what you'd like to hear or see on our channel. As always, Excelsior. See you later.